is after this chapter and those in the next week I will finish this book, this history. It's a marvelous history. Come on then. Chapter 50. Let me try it here. The return of Markaligos. Let me make something here. Turn these letters, amplify these letters. Right. Then the return of Markaligos. Oh, when we start the chapter, ever we the writer put a part of chapter about gospel to explain what will happen. Chapter 5, no, the return of Markaligos, chapter 50, return of Markaligos and the rebalancing of his family. Should one put an end to the trials of other neighbor when one can, or should one to respect God's designs and let them run their course? It's a question about can we make euthanasia in some people? The answer we have already told you and repeated many times that you are on earth for expiation to complete your trials, and that everything that happens to you is a consequence of your previous existence. They are interest on the debt you have to pay. Uh, they here is responsible for our life on this planet, the angels, parents, moral evaluation, and God, of course. They are interest on the debt you have to pay. They, the sufferer, really. Therefore, always help the another in your respective trials and never consider yourselves instruments of torture. We are not instruments of torture designed to other no suffer more. That is good. It's not us, nor God desired this. Good spirits, high spirits don't like suffering. Don't forget this. God, good spirits don't like suffering. Suffering is a tool that we create to resolve our problems with ignorance. This is in the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 5, Item 27, paragraphs 1 and 3. Blessed are the afflicted. We don't have the right to retire life to other. You turn off all machine that was making body function, how a machine. But after he tired this, that doctor said, we will turn off the instruments. If body continue in life, we don't have the rights to retire its life. This suffering, body function without machine, is necessary to clean something inside this spirit that still are using this body. It's not for no one. God don't create nothing without utility in our life in this world. Don't have creation to God about inutility. God don't make things inutile things. God don't make this. Then think to time. After you, the doctor said, we turn off the instruments, the machine, and people continue alive. Take him or her to house and let this person have this cleaning. I knew a man that lost his wife, and he was in medicine, made an operation here, I don't know why, but the procedures after, before his intervention was not so good from this woman. And when she received anesthesia, his body don't accept. And he had stop uh, to respiration without oxygen in mind, in his thought, in his head, and they would perish his life, but not the life of his life. This man don't kill this woman. This man took this woman to his house, and until now, this woman are living with only with his own force and have a person, a good person that give food to her, make the hygienization of his body, but still now this woman don't. Is necessary a permission of the spirit to that. If this spirit are living still in this body, this cause is necessary. Without instruments, don't have instruments in his house. And have another father that loses his son in an accident. And his son was considered dead, mentally dead, but the body no. The body is still continue function. And this father conserved his son in his house until the normal death of the body happened. And he was a doctor, the father of this boy. Then we can see that sometimes we must not follow the logic of mentality are that, but body are in function without instruments, without machines. Why? You will kill this person. Maybe if you make this, you are retiring this person. I'm a spiritual recuperation, not the body, but a spiritual recuperation. And have others that wake up after 50 years in this state of coma. Have some cases. Then we must understand that have proofs to the spirit, not only the body. The body will finish in this world because this is only is not definitive here. We are not in definitively here. No, we will lose passing the time. We will lose the body, but the spirit is not finished never. Our conscience don't that we are not transforming in a great a little drop in a great ocean. No, it's not this way. We will conserve our individuality, our personality. Individuality, we will conserve. Personality, I don't know. Personality, no. But individuality, yes. Because our personality now is only a clothes. Have another clothes that we have in our wardrobe. When we go out this incarnation to other dimension, we have an wardrobe full of other clothes. And you will get all these clothes are our clothes, are our wardrobe. Here we have only this clothes. When we go out of here, we will have a wardrobe. Because this is not individuality that will survive. Individuality, individuality, yes, but this persona will be with another's personas out of this world, of course. Then we don't will lose our persona. We will be with a great other persona when we go out of this life. This, but never will we lose our individuality. God created only one of us. Other day I saw a phrase that said, we don't will unsubstitutable. Is this the word? I don't know. You don't will never be a person that other don't can make the same you make. But never will exist a person how you. It's not exist. Only exists one person, but exist others that can make the same I made. I make and I made, but not how me. I am all unique. You are the unique. Is this. And we don't lose this, never. It's when I discovered this was the first thing that left me so happy. Because when I was 15, I was starting to be crazy. Oh my God, what word is this? Who am I? Why I am here? Then I discovered spiritism, marvelous, that answered me all things that I want to know about. Because this, I worked various years. It's not now I discovered spiritism. No, I was 18 years when I started studying this. Maybe less. I think 50 years or less I started studying this. And with 18, I started to work with this and never more I stopped. Then today I have certain that I am here saying to you. I'm not a person that fall down from an airplane. No, I know what I am saying. I live in this, and after 30 years, I received the first book in my life. I not started in spiritism with 18 writing. No, I worked it. The only interest to me was not writing nothing. Nothing is was not seeing spirits. No, I never wanted it. I was happy in church. I was happy with gospel. I don't happy to know what I was making here and why God, being so good, let a child birth without legs, for example. Why this? And I was crazy because I don't would to stop to believe God. If I don't search and answers, I would stop to believe in God. Then appear this marvelous. And I only want to say to you that never I'm waiting or never I would imagine that I will receive a book. No. Never I wanted see spirits. No. Never. But today, all this is normal to me because I start, because my mind, I would feel it so easy. Problems of others, so easy. I would see problems in person since I was a child. Then I was starting to be tired to understand all those things. And this put my thoughts alignment with God. Because this I talk about it with totally certain. I live it this. I study all my life this. Still I work with music. Still I study music too. Of course, I survive financially, saying with music. I am a musician. But spiritually, I am very study spiritism. Then continue here. I read to you the things about gospel. All chapter of this book have a bit of of gospel according to spiritism that explain the chapter. 9 months passed, and Markaligos, who had also been Irina's father, Now, as Berekadi, he turns to Earth with serious intestinal digestive problems, for he had taken his own life with an herb he had discovered for using against snake venom. And um, in last chapter before this, I don't know if you remember, had a reunion, 9 months, have an annual reunion talking about return of Markaligos. Markaligos was committed suicide because he don't accepted losing those wife. Mir, Mirna, no, Brianna. Brianna died for a sick, and he forgot his songs and don't want to know nothing. Committed suicide. Brianna came in this annual reunion 9 years uh, late. Brianna appears saying that Markaligos finally would return to pass in this planet only the time that lasts to his death normally before he committed suicide. Then 9 months passed and Markaligos, who had also been Elena's father, now as Bericati returns to Earth with serious intestinal digestive problems. Irina was the child that started this history. Irina and Ingrid, the two childs that started this history in back in gardens back on the castle. Then they are with 18 years more or less. He had observed Markaligos. In those times, he practiced suicide. He had observed it used by the Druids, this venom that in reality is not a venom he took. He took the liquid made about a plant. He had observed its use by Druids and heard that it produced enough venom to neutralize the effect of the venom of snakes in the region. After that, we already know what happened to poor Markaligos. And he committed suicide with a tea of a plant that cured uh, people that was suffering with venom of snakes. Berekati was received with many celebrations and joys. Berekati is now the name of Markaligos, was received with many celebrations and joys in the fiefdom as he represented the reparation of his previous life and balance for his family, erasing, erasing the sad memory left in the past. Suicide leaves a very strong trail of sadness, cowardice, and abandonment in his family, who, when unprepared, may also feel the urge to follow when unprepared, may also feel too urged to follow the same path in the face of the Great Depression they have to face, in addition to some feeling of quiet. In a place that people committed suicide, they maybe will influence people not prepared to pass by this, to go back on the suicide. I know the stories that four parents go back. Ingrid constantly asked Eleba. Ingrid was the mother of Markaligos, or Berekati now. Ingrid. Ingrid with his husband, the mathematician, he married. Uh, he was a cousin from Irina, the friend of Ingrid. Ingrid constantly asked Eleba for help, who used a small, very diluted dose of very venom that had killed him in a previous life as an antidote similar to the process developed in homeopathy today. Many times the convulsions were so strong that Eleba felt that the child would succumb. On one occasion, she observed Eleba, if you don't remember, was the sacerdotes, Druid sacerdotes that get since she was a child. She got uh, cure all people in those 5 stones. And she was too friend of the owner of the castle. On one occasion, Eleba observed in the boy's second fluidic body that uh, that connecting the connecting cord between it between it and the physical body was becoming increasingly tenuous and very similar to the process that would be completed with this incarnation, which she had already observed hundreds of times in her assistance to the villagers. She, she then prepared Ingrid and Eustachio. Eustachio was the husband of Ingrid, to take care of a little Berecati, already understanding that his stay among them would be brief, probably just enough time for him to live out the years interrupted in his previous incarnation. And according to her calculations, it would only be a few more months. Ingrid and Eustachio then dedicated themselves body and soul to making their days together as happy as possible. They tried their best to alleviate the baby's suffering, which saddened them greatly when they could, despite all their efforts. In other 5 stones, such a situation was resolved, let me put a variable, was resolved by the baby's death, so that he would not continue suffering, as medical knowledge and resources were very limited in those times. See how important we understand that the final world life in this world is from God, not from medicine, not from parents, but from God. Because this time is necessary sometimes, in all times, I say, to repair inside this spirit something that don't have other way to be repaired. Another fight on such a situation was resolved by the baby's death, so that he would not continue suffering, as medical knowledge and research were very limited. In that fiefdom, however, everyone was guided by life, which doesn't offer his search in vain for the eternal spirit to redeem itself and, despite the body's death, continue its journey more likely on the other side of life. Ingrid and Eustáquio continued until the end, supporting poor Belecade, who was already dwindling in his strength in his last days of life. We can remember two very fathers that appear in Instagram showing his poor babies with great suffering. But it's important to continue helping this child, minimize his pain, turn his life so much comfort as possible. Because how said the gospel, we're not a tool of torture to others. No, we are not this. We are here to help each other to transform the suffering the minimum possible and ask help, ask money to help these children, ask conditions to turn this life so big pain. We must make this and not retire the life simply. If these people are alive in this, have an utility from God. God and not high spirits like see suffering. The suffering is the unique way that the Holy Spirit creates to cure inside his spirit something from the past. We are not to judge no one, only to help each other. We are Ingrid and Eustáquio continued until the end, supporting poor Mercati, who was already dwindling in his strength in his last days of life. However, his spirit was radiant and happy, as Eliba could observe over time. It's important if you have a medium that can see, but don't ask money. It's important if you have one person that can see how this the state of this spirit is good. To you see how these tools created by our spirit are turning this spirit free from a sick in his spirit, not the body only. However, his spirit was radiant and happy, as Eleba could observe over time. He could walk despite being 2 years old. He hadn't even learned to speak properly, as he suffered so much from his seizures that he barely had the energy to learn anything. Seizures, his seizures. They, uh, Days before his passing, Eleban was able to speak with Brianna, who happy and radiant in a period apparition in the forest, recounted that she would come to receive the spirit of Markaligos so they could continue their journey in the spirituality. She reported that pay attention, if Markaligos had been a little more perchance in those times in suicide, but if he don't committed the suicide, he would have passed away years after his own death. Uh, the death of Brianna must 2 years Markaligos would death normally, cause arrived at those times. Then, if he uh, had been a little more patient, he would have passed away years after his own death and would have avoided these 2 years of suffering that were now coming to an end. But everything is an experience, said Brianna, that our Creator allows us to live through. We should not judge the actions of our neighbor, she explained it. Each person has freedom of choice, but we must receive the result of those choices in our own lives. We must receive the result. We are free from plant seeds, but not to receive results. We are not free from this. We must receive the result of those choices in our own lives. This is non transferable. And she said goodbye, announcing that after 2 days she would come to receive him, Markaligos, again. That is, I forgot the name, that is in those incarnation, Berekat. And his wife will would come 2 days after that said that talking with uh, Eleba to receive this man, Markaligos. She reported that if Markaligos had been a little more patient, he would have passed away years after his own death and would have avoided these 2 years of suffering that were now coming to an end. We should not judge actions, said Brianna. And concluding, she said goodbye, announcing that after 2 days she would come to receive me very happily in her arms. Elebabarekat's great aunt then hurried to prepare her niece Ingrid and Eustachio, who already foresaw what was going to happen, as they could already feel the little one strange waiting. He barely ate and constantly complained of severe colic after eating when he managed. At the same time, Ingrid was pregnant again, and despite the joy of a new life, she felt deep sadness at having to say goodbye to little Berekat, to whom she had grown attached during the last 2 years of their relationship. Then 2 days later, they prepared to say their final farewell, thinking more about Markaligos' relief at being freed from such a frail and suffering body. A small blue light approached the frail body, and then Markaligos, deeply grateful and radiant, departed with Brianna. I have other doctors in Brazil said that when he said his patients that died, she she saw a little light going out from the head of patient. patient. So interesting. Then 2 days later, they prepared to say their final farewell, thinking more about the God's relief and being freed from such a frail and suffering body. A small blue light approached the frail body. A small blue light was Vienna. And then Markaligos, deeply grateful and radiant, departed with Vienna. Ereban could see that the two small lights joined and departed like a comet towards infinity. Meanwhile, Ingrid and Eustachio just watched, very sad but relieved that small body already inert and lifeless. After the funeral ritual, since in the fiefdom they already buried their dead, many prayers and thanks were offered by everyone in the family, who now felt stronger and more grateful for life and for the Creator who incessantly grants new opportunities for renewal and redemption before eternity. And that at that time it was too common for bodies to be cremated and their ashes scattered in the waters or in a place that was pleasing to the deceased. That is the finish of the chapter, and I wait you are understanding the holy history, and you you that follow this history since the first chapter that has here in my playlists. You can search this in my playlists. A Castle in the Past is together um castelo no passado in, in Portuguese are together. Portuguese and English in the same playlist, okay? And this is um, the next chapter is the last of this book, this history. I hope you understand the importance of druids in this planet. They were the older exiliated from Capella, and these druids was the same level of the kings in those times, in those places. And she made cures, she invented farms to plantation, invented various other things uh, in our society until 18th century. They were in this planet more or less until 18th century. And most then were famous in our history of this planet. But we don't know they are the older druids, but is this. And I hope you like this story and have excellent starting this week for all. Thank you, your presence. Thank you. Thank you, your presence. Thank you, your attention. Until the next. You are in Brazil. I record in live this same chapter in Portuguese.